I would say as an end user, I empathize with the end user base because I was in the, I purchased it. I sent a load of CO2 from the state of Washington over to North Carolina. It was hard to find. It was expensive. There are new business models emerging that will take those headaches away. And as you explore, as an end user starts to explore this path, is it nitrogen? Is it CO2 from your incumbent supplier? Is there a new business model forming? Just make sure that you're going to all those different areas to learn and educate so that you're prepared to take action. And because the second that these pipelines are start construction, and it's not going to be a good thing, it's not going to be a bad thing, because ultimately long term, this really is part of the new clean energy economy. And if there are incentives and subsidies out there to help your company not only solve your CO2 problem, but to also meet your sustainability goals, you can accomplish both. And that's sitting out there, and you can have a large chunk of that paid for. So that's my one thing, is make sure you're getting information from all different suppliers in this area, in this space, and that you're getting input and from each of them so that you can make an informed decision when you really need to make that informed decision, and you're not going to have to wait another year to gather that information.
Well, thanks for that, Jim. And Jeff of Delta CleanTech, how about you? What's your one thing going forward that you'd like to see?
Okay. Well, just about every emitter that I've talked to over the last couple of years has all established ESG committees. They either have a committee or a vice president in charge of ESG. So I think all of them are trying to be socially responsible. Their board of directors, they've made commitments to be net zero by 2030 or some particular date, which gives them a culpable liability that they need to be able to meet. The problem they're running into is the fact that they're all very interested in doing something. But I think we talked about it earlier, is that the rule books haven't been finalized. And if I had to ask for one thing, that the governments to step up and give everybody the rules. And that, that's a really, really important thing. If they know that this is what the tax is going to be, and both parties agree with that, and I know both parties are never going to agree with that in the government, but if there's some kind of commitment or a joint committee or something that puts together the rules so that everybody's in agreement. So if governments change, it's not going to change. They're not going to throw out the 45Q or whatever. Those kinds of things. If there's certainty in business, then business will do it. They will make the commitment. They will reduce their emissions. They will capture the CO2. And so that's my biggest wish.
Sure, thanks for that, Jeff. And from one Jeff to another, we'll leave the final words with you, Jeff of TOMCO Systems. If you had one wish for the future, one thing you want to see going forward, what would that be?
Well, I mean, I'm sure you figured out by now I'm not capable of one, so I have three. So the first one, Jeff just hit it on the head, clarity. We've got to get clarity on all of this from how do you get paid back, how are the regulations, what's the incentivization, what's the penalties, things like that. So clarity's first. Investment, we need innovation. We need investment in alternative uses, additional uses, aviation fuels, e-fuels, things like that. It's concrete, continued investment. Without clarity, we don't get that investment. So that's on hold. So obviously those go hand in hand. But most importantly, action. That's the most important one. Shovels in the ground today. Get off the bench, because it's coming. Everything we talked about, it is all coming. It might be a month, it might be 6 months, 12 months, it might be 3 years, but it is coming. And if you wait, you lose a huge competitive advantage for the early movers. This is not just early adopter kind of syndrome. It is coming. And if you wait until 2 years from now to start talking about capturing CO2 and securing your supply, you are long behind everybody else in where that's going. So get the shovels in the ground today, release the CapEx spending. Don't just think of this as green initiative. Don't think about it. What's the price? I paid cheap today. You've got to get these shovels in the ground now. And those would be the three. And then we hope we get those takeaways from this, because what we don't want to have happen is in 2 years, everybody starts scrambling, because then we're in, you want to talk about price increases on your food processing and on your fuel, on anything and everything, your sodas, your beverages, everything in our economic infrastructure will be impacted if we do not have a plan in place now for the elimination of a lot of these.